So we've already taken a look at the brackets. There's no need to go back and check that out once more. We know how things are panning out. We've got Lincoln Land going up against Nassau over on the other side of the bracket, but we've got Hawkeye now taking on John Wood. We're finally able to figure out who that winner is going to be, who is going to be going up against them. So taking a look going into the series. So John Wood just went through a full 7-game series against Hudson Valley. I'm sure they're probably very just drained because these best of 7s, if you go full 7, it is exhausting. It's tiring. They've already played a 6-game series against Wake Tech. Abby, how do you think they need to go into this game against Hawkeye, who's only played 8 games? They've had 2 quick sweeps.
I think that John Wood really needs to work on how far they pass the ball, because I noticed, even though we were only there for a round or two with Hudson Valley, that they pass the ball super far to each other and they try and get like super far goals and stuff. So I think they need to tighten it up a bit and play smaller plays that ultimately lead to the goals, so there's a harder chance to steal the ball from them.
Yeah, they played very well, but Hudson Valley obviously proved to be a very difficult opponent for them. So it almost seems like they might have their work cut out for them. As Hoodie, you were telling us, Hawkeye, the runner-up last season. So being the coach for John Wood, how are you feeling going in?
Honestly, I have a lot of confidence in my squad. They've put in a lot of hard work, so I don't ever really have too much worry or anxiety for them. And being able to see us go up against schools like Hawkeye and Lincoln Land and stuff like that, all of these rosters are so talented that playing against each other just gives so much opportunity to learn, that especially right now, there's not a whole lot of pressure on the players, I don't think, to be getting results. You know, there's not like a $10,000, $20,000 prize pool. So they just get to learn a lot about how to be better at the game. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to work some of these kinks out in the preseason before everything is really on the line. So
yes.
We're getting the players into the lobby. We're almost set, but Abby, real quick, can you run us down the Hawkeye roster? We've already seen John Wood, so let's take a look at the Hawkeye roster.
All right, so for the Hawkeye roster, the first player on the list is Colin Luck. His tag is Colin. He's a sophomore at Hudson, Iowa. And the second player is Cole Luck. His tag is Cole. He's a sophomore, also at Hudson, Iowa. And the third player, but not least, is Keegan Cutsforth. His tag is HCC Antique, and he's a sophomore at Waterloo, Iowa.
All right, so with that, let's head on down to the HyperX casting booth. And Hoodie and Abby, go ahead and take it away with our semifinal matchup.
Abby?
Okay, so basically I'm expecting this to be a really good game. And I expect for John Wood to still make the long passes, but I think they learned from their last match. John Wood's a good team, don't get me wrong, but like the long passes, it's really good though. So they've been managing to win their games, and they've really been doing really good during their games.
I think a big thing that, comes into playing a specific type of role. So here we're playing more of the aggressive role. Nassau played that, or Jackson rather played a more passive role. When you decide to play one, you have to understand what the drawbacks of choosing that game plan is, and it does seem John Wood really forgets that their drawback to playing 3 people forward is that they have 0 people back. We are going to hop into game 1 here. In this semifinal match, we've got John Wood versus Hawkeye Community College, and this is another matchup that I've gotten to see a couple times, and it's just a runner every single time. Both teams very committed to playing their fullest the entire series, no matter how either team gets down. It is just excellent. We actually see VPNT coming in for game 1 here on the John Wood roster. He had been taking more of a backseat sub role, so it's interesting to see John Wood put him in game 1 here.
Yeah, like I say, usually the first round, as I call it, is the feeler round. And I know I've already said this, but it's a good thing to bring up. It's basically each team plays how they normally would, but they're also paying attention and analyzing how the other team's reacting and playing when they have the ball, and just seeing how the team works together and their dynamics.
That was a double demo from Cole there onto John Wood, and a very big opportunity that John Wood's got to be happy that nothing came out of. Very good play from Hawkeye to be playing some more of that physical game. Again, Light and I had mentioned a little bit about that in the game back before, but it's so underrated in Rocket League. You forget about it sometimes.
Yeah, the demolition is a really good strategy, and I know whenever I play Rocket League, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a good player, I'm not that great, but I always go for demos, and I don't know, I think demos are a really good tactic because you can take out that player that can make the goals.
Wonderful teamwork from Hudson Valley there, or not Hudson Valley, rather Hawkeye, apologies, to set up that backboard with Antique, just ready to finish and push that in. John Wood's defense not really able to do too much about it. They had kind of already committed to that first shot, so yeah, really good play from Hawkeye there. Be an awkward backflip from Antique. Turbo going to see if he can cut it across. Demo onto Cole, redirect from Antique. Lucy's going to be able to clear that out of the way. A nice challenge by Antique, but Turbo going to be in the air. Not able to make anything happen out of it. Oh, Lucy is able to, though.
Yeah, that was a great shot by Lucy, because like I said, in the first game, in any game in Rocket League, you always go after any goals you can see. And Lucy saw that two of Hawkeye's players were heading away from the goals, and the ball was behind them. So all they had to do really was just tap it in, and so Lucy got the goal, so now it's 1-1.
Aerial control from Lucy coming out, something he doesn't showcase a whole lot in matches, but I've been really trying to talk him into to having a little bit more confidence doing that in these games, because it really it's really hard to answer when they're all the way up there. You don't really want to dedicate your resources to go up and challenge it, so you just have to hope they miss, and sometimes they don't. Good challenge there by Turbo to get knocked down the field. Awkward bounce by Antique, or flip rather by Antique. Ooh, good challenge, Colin. I like Turbo's decision to drop down there. Sorry.
No, it's fine, I'm sorry. I see a lot of John Wood using the air game strategy, which is a really good strategy because, like you said, they have to use their resources in order to get to the ball, in order to try and even make a shot. So that's why I think air strategy is probably one of the best strategies when playing a team, especially if the team isn't like comfortable being able to control their car in the air.
I agree. A very excellent opportunity there set up by Cole down at the end of John Wood's field. A little bit of an awkward camera angle for us as the spectator, but we're going to be able to see that backflip. That was a lot of power off that backflip, but Cole there double challenging the defenders and able to just ping pong that back in until it said, nope, I'm going into the goal. 2-1 lead here for Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was a really good strategy by both teams. I can see John Wood's thought process. They're using two defenders to take the ball past their goal, and Cole just took advantage of it and just bumped it right over.
Not entirely sure what just happened there. Interested in watching this. Looks like Turbo just really awkward angle trying to go up to redirect that and accidentally pushed it back into the goal. Minute 15 left, 3-1 scoreline for Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was a good play. Even though Turbo scored on his own goal, but that was still, he's using it to get up to the ball, which is a respectable thing in Rocket League because it can be hard to get resources, so that was a good play by both teams.
Excellent pressure here from Hawkeye, really making John Wood sit in one of their weaker areas, which is that defensive gameplay. Antique with a nice aerial demo onto VPNT. This ball is going to push down Hawkeye's side of the field. Late jump from Cole's not going to be able to hit it. Lucy's going to pass it into the middle. Colin's not going to be able to get to it. That's a dead ball in the middle there. Turbo's going to try to do something with it, but Cole's able to get to it, and it doesn't look like Hawkeye is going to allow anything to come out of that situation. That was a pretty good opportunity for John Wood. I don't think they're going to get another one like that, unfortunately.
In Rocket League, there are very few golden opportunities, like we just saw, in order to get goals. So it's important that you always take a chance and try and make it, because you don't know if they're going to gain 3 points in the time it takes you to gain 1.
Was it Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or something like that? Game 1 though here, Hawkeye, excellent team, very strong play. John Wood getting punished for their defensive mistakes for sure. But you know, John Wood, once they find that game pattern that they need to be hitting to play their aggressive gameplay, and it switches from team to team, so it usually takes them a little bit of time to kind of understand where that's at. I think we're going to see John Wood put up a lot better games going forward. We also do have subs, so we're going to have to see if they choose to sub anybody in or out in between game 1 and game 2. Yeah, overall, what did you think of that first game?
I think it was a good first round, because I'm going to say it again, it's a feeler round. That's usually how the first game goes, is usually it's either close or it's like 3-1 with a couple points. And it's just mainly seeing how they react to the plays, and then taking advantage of those reactions in the later games, because now you know how they react and how they try and make their points.
Disappeared on me, so I don't have the exact numbers there at the end, but just kind of go over that with some stat lines too. We only saw John Wood have 3 shots on goals that entire game. Like, for John Wood being the aggressive team they didn't really play a whole lot of their game style there, and I think it's in large part just because of how aggressive Hawkeye is as a team, and they force them to be in that defensive position. So, you know, for John Wood to be able to make it out of this series, they're not going to allow themselves to be sitting back in their back half, or it's not going to go well for them. We're seeing here, once again, Hawkeye just immediately put that pressure on John Wood. We've been in John Wood's half basically since we started this game.
Yeah, I think both of these teams like putting the pressure on the other team, so it's kind of like they're going to be button heads throughout this whole game, because of the fact that they both like to be the offensive team.
I definitely echo that, and what I'm liking here from John Wood this second game already is the rotations seem to be a lot smoother. I'm not seeing people doubled up on the same side of the field. It's very, very important to not double up people as much as possible, so those balls that do get 50'd and go a random direction have more of a chance of one of your teammates being in that area to control it. Cole's here going to go for the follow-up, but Lucy with a very nice aerial defense there is going to make sure nobody can follow that up. Oh, awkward pinch. Oh, wonderful shot, Rui. That was dangerous.
Yeah, and what you said with not like doubling up on each side of the field is a good point, because to be aggressive, you don't have to have all 3 players trying to make it in the goal. You can have 1 player trying to make it in the goal. Like Lucy, for example, they're a very offensive, in-your-face player. They will put the ball right above you into the goal. But they can also defend their goal.
I know him as a person, and you're just spot on. So it's perfect. Some very back like 0-0 scoreline. About 2 minutes into this first half, for how aggressive both these teams are, is very impressive to me. Either way, I would have expected a goal by now. Here it is, almost the save, almost.
Yeah, like
Speaking
you said, we saw all of John Wood trying to block their goal from the ball, and Hawkeye just saw this little spot where they could have made it, and they made it, and that's all it takes in Rocket League, is a little opening.
That was a bullet from Rui, absolute bullet, and he's gonna get that point right back.
Yeah, I've noticed with John Wood, if their opponent makes a goal against them, they turn around and they just throw it right back at them. They make a goal as well, and that's exactly what happened. So that's 1-1.
Good demo by Lucy there. Dead ball, very dangerous for John Wood usually. I don't know why they have a very big time, or a very big difficulty handling dead balls compared to like ones that get launched across the field. They're very good at their aerial interceptions. So don't want to see a dead ball in front of John Wood's goal.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with. Sorry, that's one thing I noticed with Grace Harbor is that the dead balls are actually kind of more difficult to hit in a way because you're expecting the ball to be so fast and meet this one spot at the moment you get there. But if it's dead, it's not moving.
Yeah, I think the sudden stop of momentum, like you're saying, is just so confusing because you're spending so much of your time just at maximum speed and then all of a sudden it just stops flat dead. Another excellent goal to bring the scoreline to 2-1 for Hawkeye, and John Wood really just, again, their defensive work, like their offense is so good, and once they get on that pressure, they're coordinated and they can get opportunities. It just seems like they have a very difficult time allowing that same communication to be there when they're on defense, and it's, you know, the same call outs. But Gruy, once again.
Yeah, this was a really good play by John Wood. You can see Lucy set it up, and then Gruy, with the airplay, goes in and just taps it right into their goal. Excuse me, right above the Hawkeye defenders. So now it's 2-2.
And yes, the big thing I noticed here is whenever John Wood's making goals, there's usually at least somebody in the goal, and like whenever John Wood's getting a goal scored on them, like there's usually nobody back there. And I think that what we're seeing out of Hawkeye is rather what we need to see out of Hawkeye, I apologize, is to utilize long distance shots a little bit more than they have been. They are taking these really up close shots, making sure they get crosses. They're going to get another one here off Cole. But that's when John Wood's actually back in their goal. If they were to try to hit some of these pinch shots that are deeper down on their side of the field and maybe direct them a little bit towards John Wood's goal, I think they could get some sneak goals in against John Wood that just we wouldn't be prepared for because of how we choose to play our aggressive side. Excellent stop there from Gruy.
I also agree because John Wood, like I said before, they like their long plays, their air plays, and they're really good at it. Don't get me wrong. It's a good strategy to have, especially when dealing with a very tight team, kind of like Hawkeye's been playing recently. But like you said, Hawkeye does need to utilize the longer plays so that they don't get tripped up on each other.
Absolutely. Lucy here with some aerial control. He's going to try to put that into the back of the net. Oh, Turbo was going to be there for the assist. Unfortunately, excellent defense from Hawkeye is going to prevent that goal from going in. Turbo is going to challenge it. A very, very strong pinch there. Double demo, one going on to Colin and Lucy each by each other. Mid-air demo by Turbo. Follow-up. Wonderful, wonderful goal.
Yeah, I think John Wood found Hawkeye's weakness. I think Hawkeye's weakness is, even though you see two of their players in the air right now, is their airplay. Because you see John Wood utilizing the air a lot, and Hawkeye just until usually it's on the ground to hit it and take it away. So that was a great goal and a great realization from John Wood.
I definitely agree. Lucy going to try to once again go up and do some aerial play, just like we discussed. But Antique this time going to knock him out of the way. Gruy, though, a pinch there on the angle. Passed by Turbo off the wall. Gruy's able to see that clear open goal and take that up 4-3 with 3 seconds left to go. But I think you're absolutely correct. Sorry.
Yeah, no, John Wood, that was a great play. All three of their players came together. Lucy set it up, got it by Hawkeye's goal. Turbo, I'm pretty sure, is the one that stole it from Hawkeye and angled it more towards the goal at a sharper angle. And then Gruy just came in and just hit it perfectly right into the goal. So now they won that round. It's 4-3.
Reviewing the stat line a little bit, the shots on goal was about the same for Hawkeye. I think they might have been down 2 shots on goal. This time, instead of 3 shots on goal, John Wood had 7. So much more opportunity there for John Wood, and they were able to convert a little bit more of that. Excellent game once again. I'm excited to get to game 3. Did you see anything out of that game that either team might have pulled from that first game and been trying to do a little bit differently?
Definitely. I saw John Wood utilizing the air, because I think they noticed on the first game that Hawkeye tended to stay on the ground and not use the air as often as they should have or could have. And so I saw John Wood use a lot of airplay, which was really good because, like you said, their shots on goal almost doubled from the first game to the second game.
I would have to echo that sentiment as well, as far as what I think Hawkeye is just really trying to pressure John Wood's defense. And I think that they know that weakness from the last time that they've played, and I think that they're just trying to hold that same thing. And it makes sense to me. I mean, it's just constantly been that little sliver in the armor that is John Wood's weakness. So if you know it, keep going with it.
Yeah, it's like poking the bear. You gotta poke the bear enough to get the reaction out of it that you want. Although I don't recommend poking the bear.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about poking no bears. Game 3, very exciting matchup between these two teams. Again, different pace or different styles of play, but also the same style of play. Just not overly aggressive, but aggressive styles of play in different ways about going about that same game plan. John Wood able to squeak the last game. Hawkeye a dominating performance in that first game. Well, maybe not dominating, but the scoreline 3-1. Definitely a little less close than last game. We're seeing a lot of pressure here on Hawkeye's side, whereas last game we started with a lot of pressure on John Wood's side.
Yeah, it seems like every game you should take some knowledge of how the other team played and incorporate that into your initial understanding. And I think that's what Hawkeye did. I think they noticed that they need to play in the air more, and that's why you see Colin and Cole and Antique all in the air whenever the ball is in the air, which is a really good realization for their team.
Yes, we'll have to see if they are able to use that newfound confidence in the air to gain a little bit of advantage on John Wood here. And we're going to have to see if John Wood does anything to oh, an excellent back hit there by Gruey. Very smart decision by him. But if John Wood can find any way to maybe battle up against that if they do start using more aerial. But that was just a really smart decision by Gruey to sit there and wait.
Yeah, and these are the sharp angles I talked about in the first game. It's that really where basically the ball is parallel or like right next to the goalpost, so it's basically impossible to hit the ball out unless you hit it from behind, which Hawkeye did not have enough time to do, so they ended up John Wood ended up getting the goal, so now it's 1-0.
Ooh, that's a dangerous miss from Cole there. He's able to get to the wall. Turbo playing back here is very good from him. Pretty good opportunity here. Nice. Oh, awkward there from Cole and Colin. Very teardrop.
I think that's what you mentioned earlier, how they need to start playing longer plays, Hawkeye does, because like we just saw, Cole and Colin got caught onto each other with the ball, so there was nothing that they had to like take a few moments to try and unlock their cars, basically.
And they were able to, I think, like you were about to say, with those long plays, they were able to catch John Wood, I think mid-rotation there. I wouldn't even say that they were just overcommitted. I think they were just mid-rotation, and a awkward hit was just enough to get into the goal if it's on target, and that's what happens when you don't have anybody back. That time, I don't think it was as intended or intentional as some of the other times I've seen nobody in the goal, but it's okay. A lot of play here. Cars zooming in and out of each other. Quite fun to watch. Definitely more aerial play from Hawkeye, as you said. Lucy with the pass, Colin with the challenge. Not afraid to challenge here, I like that. Turbo's gonna try to redirect. Colin's gonna get it up and over him. That's gonna be Cole going up for the put-in, but he's not gonna be able to find it. That's Antique going up, but now it's John Wood try to clear it. They're not going to be able to. That's a lot of Hawkeye players on one side of the pitch. John Wood needs to make something happen out of that.
Yeah, right now it's just currently a lot of batting around because they're all trying to push it the other way, but all 6 players are on one half of the court. So that's going to make it difficult to try and either make goals or get it to the other side of the field.
One thing I've tried talking to my players about quite a bit, and I think we're seeing that from actually both teams here today, is that when you're clearing, you can't just clear to clear. Like, sometimes you have to. Like, oh, nice under the defender there by, bounce under the defender there by Gruy. Gonna be Turbo with the pass off the corner. And then Gruy's, oh, I thought he went under the goalie. He's just a little bit ahead of him. I did forget what I was saying before that. Excellent goal happened, so thank you, Gruy.
Yeah, no, that was a great setup and a great shot by Gruy because he hit it right in front of the Hawkeye defender, which is very brave of him to do because that could have been an easy block and pass to their goal. So it was a very good shot. 2-1 now.
2-1. That actually did wrap me back around to what I was trying to mention was you got to be clearing with a purpose, because sometimes you just clear to your opponent and then give them an opportunity because you just use your resources to clear. And that's a big thing John Wood struggled with is clearing with a purpose. They are able to... Oh, maybe not. Ball's not quite dead yet. Okay. They are able to pick up the second game here. 2-1 scoreline. Once again, very, very close.
Yeah, and I think that since every round you take, like I said, you take information from that game and you put it towards the next game. I think Hawkeye really learned from the first and second rounds that now they're incorporating that into this coming up games, which is why the score is getting closer and closer. And I think possibly this next round we might go overtime, or Hawkeye might see a round win.
I think Hawkeye is definitely doing a little bit more learning here. Reflecting on the stat line once again, we're seeing 6 shots on goal from John Wood, with 2 of them going in. We had 10 shots on goal from Hawkeye with only 1 of them going in, but that's not in any reason of their own. John Wood, 4 saves on Gruy, 2 saves on Turbo, 2 saves on Lucy, 8 saves out of the 10 shots they had. Like, that's an insane defensive record for a team that typically, doesn't have the best defensive record.
Yeah, I think John Wood's definitely been learning from these past couple games, and like you said, they have 8 out of 10 saves, and that's why every game helps because they've been improving a lot against Hawkeye, and same with Hawkeye against John Wood.
Yes, watching the real-time reaction to different styles of gameplay from both teams at the same time, and then watching that all mixed together is one of my favorite things as a spectator for sports in general. It's not even just to Rocket League or video games, but that creativity and adaptability is one of the key components to being and playing at a high level, and so just appreciating it as it's happening in real time has always been one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and I've seen so many different strategies used while casting for Rocket League.
There's a really good demo play there. Another different style of play that we haven't seen a whole lot of either team do. Basically, no physical play at all. Occasional. I think Cole had a double demo either last game or the game before.
Yeah, and I think that Cole and Colin work amazing together. Like, Colin was going for the goal, and Cole saw that the only defender that could have blocked it was right there. So he was like, okay, I'll take him out. So he demoed him, and then that cleared the way for Colin to get the goal, which is excellent teamwork and strategy.
I completely agree, and that teamwork and strategy will oftentimes end up netting you a goal when, you know, you haven't been showing much of that gameplay at all, and then all of a sudden you just hit somebody with it. They're not prepared. So a very excellent job doing that, getting that 1-0 lead here in this fourth game. Pressure here on John Wood's side. It's going to be Turbo getting it a little bit clear. Does look like they took Lucy out this game. Maybe give him a little bit of a break. He's been playing all day. We got a lot of pressure here on John Wood's side. You know, they haven't gotten it cleared to Hawkeye's. Okay, there we go. It's been about a good 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Yeah, and John Wood's showing a great improvement in their defense. But that was a great goal by Hawkeye.
Absolutely. Again, Colin and Cole there. I think it was Colin dropping it down to Cole, who was able to finish it off on the ground. A lot of chemistry there between those two players, and we were really seeing that come out this game. Both those goals being excellent teamwork between the two of them.
Yeah, and I think one of the best strategies to have is to have a player like Lucy, who is very diverse in how they can play. They can be very aggressive, or they can block very tricky goals from happening. And then having the other two players being great team players that work amazing together. Because I know that's how GHC was. We had a team of two that worked amazing, and then we had one player that was very aggressive and defensive. But all three can still work together very well, like a tight-knit group.
Chemistry oftentimes comes from repetition and playing multiple games with the same people. So, you know, your game styles don't always have to necessarily link up, as long as you can know with confidence that that person's going to be doing what they're doing and you can rely on them. That's what really builds teamwork. And that's something I think John Wood has a lot of, is confidence in each other. And from the way that Hawkeye is playing, especially obviously Colin and Cole, I think that's something that they have very much so as well, is that trust in each other to play their best game at all times.
Yeah, and that's really important on a team.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that was a great setup by John Wood. They saw, even though there was two Hawkeye defenders, they saw an opportunity to be able to pass it and play some airplay, which is still Hawkeye's kind of weakness, but they're getting better at it. So now it is 1-2 with Hawkeye in the lead.
Some really good angles from these wide spots. They keep being a little bit too powerful of shots, a little bit high up over the crossbar, but the angle that Hawkeye is constantly getting on John Wood. Once again there, Gruy barely just able to get a touch off the top of it, but that angle, once again, from that side is just so hard to hit, and they're doing it so consistently. And there's the third one. It's just, that's really hard for John Wood to protect.
Yeah, and I think using each other's weaknesses, and in John Wood's case, it's defense. Hawkeye's case, it's also their defense, but they're more of an air defense, an air weakness, which is why John Wood's been using the airplay a lot, and why Hawkeye's been trying to keep it on the ground and go around the players.
Ooh, good opportunity there, but excellent defensive pinch from Hawkeye is not going to allow it to go. I thought Turbo definitely had that goal in his sight. He's going to follow up this. He's going to get intercepted. Redirection from Gruy. VPNT is not going to be able to do anything with it. He's going to push it past the defender though. And unfortunately, another one there to intercept. Turbo's going to get a pass into the middle. Gruy's a little bit wide on the shot. Oh, a little bit early.
And in Rocket League, timing is everything. So if you're just a millisecond late, you can miss a goal, which is why knowing where to hit the ball and how hard and when is a very important skill that is learned over playing it multiple times.
So that does take our series to 2-2, I believe, ties us at 2-2. Stat line reflecting shots on goal this time for Hawkeye was only 6, but they got 3 of them. So a little bit complete opposite of what we saw last time from John Wood, where they were able to keep 8 out of 10 out. This time they let 3 out of 6 in. So really got to shore up that positioning and communication. Like I had expressed, I think it comes a lot down to the communication. When they get on the defense, they lose a lot of their connectivity with each other. But what we did see out of Hawkeye, on the other hand, was Colin and Cole really step up and embrace their synergy that they had and really play with each other. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I completely agree. Colin and Cole stepped up. Like, Cole would take out the defenders while Colin made the goals, or vice versa. Or they really played a very strong, respectable game with how together they worked with their team and how they got around defenders.
I'm excited to see if they're going to maybe get a little bit of confidence from that, really rely on that synergy, not relying so much on some solo play, and that teamwork might be actually what was costing John Wood those goals there. They've been playing kind of the solo game up until this point, and then John Wood wasn't really prepared for them to start coordinating super close together, so see if they can keep using it for their advantage. Looked like VP&T got subbed out for Lucy again, so some more aerial play from John Wood this game is more than likely. Nice demo onto Gruy. Colin, some excellent control there from him. I like to see that. Antique with regaining of possessions, going to get challenged here by Lucy. Lucy's going to get the demo, not going to get the ball. Turbo instead is going to a nice flip over the defender. Antique's able to grab it though. Another demo by Lucy. Answered to Cole onto Turbo. Answered to Gruy onto Colin.
A lot of demos this game, which I think is a very good tactic for either team to use, since it is currently 2-2 overall, and they are a pretty evenly matched team when it comes down to it.
I think we kind of hit on the physical play like 2 games ago or something like that, and I think you're right that the more we've been going into these series, and this was your note from the end of last series, the more that we've been going into these series and getting farther into the games, the more we see that physical play come out. And that's not just the last series either, that's this series too. We didn't see a whole lot of demoing, again, some occasional mishaps of it, but it's starting to see it a lot more intentional now. Another opportunity there for John Wood. Lucy going to be a little bit high. That's not going to bounce off the crossbar in the way that he would like. Turbo here gonna delay his challenge, and I think that ended up actually costing him. Lucy's going to knock it into the middle, follow it up. Defender is not able to challenge that, but Cole's going to get to it. I have to rewatch that one. I kind of missed the tail end of that play. I saw Colin guiding it in the air. It's just, yeah, no defenders, unfortunately, for John Wood.
Yeah, Colin just hit it right past Turbo and right into the open goal. So now it's 1-1 with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left. And another thing about Rocket League is, even though it might seem like a semi-simple game since it's just 3 players on each team hitting around a ball into the goals, Rocket League can be a lot like chess. And I speak because I was a chess champion for 2 years and I played Rocket League, but you have to put your players in specific spots in order to reach the best possible outcome. And it's kind of like chess. You have to move your pieces and try and take out the opponents.
I think that's a very good, what's the word I'm looking for?
Analogy.
Comparison.
Right?
Yeah, analogy. Thank you. Perfect. Yes, that's a very, very good analogy. I think, you know, putting the pieces where you need them to be. But I wanted to also say that I kind of view it the same way, from predicting why your opponent's where they're at, so you can make a decision. You know, being ahead of your opponent like 2 steps or whatever that chess requires is also very, very important. I do like that analogy a lot. Turbo here is going to try to follow it up, but that is a beautiful challenge from Antique, who's going to even fall back down and get that. That was beautiful from Antique. I love that. Good challenge from Lucy. He is going to stop that 50-50 in the middle. Turbo with the follow-up. Going to bounce that off into the corner, but it's going to be Colin with the read. He's going to drop it down for Gruy. Gruy's going to hit it towards the goal, and what a wonderful save from Cole. I thought that was into the back of the net.
I think both these teams are utilizing the fact that there's 3 players on each team, so maybe they can send 2 out, but spaced out, to offense, and maybe have 1 hang back, like I saw Lucy do earlier in a previous round, which was a good idea because you never know if the ball's just going to go flying across the field.
Turbo tried to do his best with that challenge there. The double challenge there from Turbo and Lucy on the same ball, I think, is what ended up costing them that goal there. But it's hard to read Turbo challenging there, so I can understand why Lucy went for it, and it's just a little bit of mishap. I don't think anything specific. Lucy there going to be able to save that open goal. John Wood does still have 45 seconds to get a point back here and try to tie this up. If not, we're going to see the series go into the way of Hawkeye's advantage at 3-2. A lot of pressure still here on John Wood's side. They're going to have to find a way to get this down to Hawkeye so they can, you know, start to make some of those opportunities. Even though they've been playing the long game, most of their goals actually end up coming from the short finishes. So nice. Oh, what a save from Antique.
You see a lot more air game from Hawkeye, which is very important because, like I said, John Wood is utilizing the space above the floor, the air, to be able to make their goals.
Through the pass, it's going to put it up. Lucy's going to try to redirect. He's not going to. Oh, keep it alive. Damn. All right, so Hawkeye is going to, after some wild volleyball there at the end, is going to shore up this game 5. Take them, I think, to a 3-2 position. And, you know, John Wood really has got to re-hit the drawing board. They brought Lucy back in that game, maybe thinking that was going to give them a little bit of an opportunity, especially once they saw Hawkeye had started to use some more of the aerial, like you had said. So, I don't know, do you think John Wood needs to be looking to redesign their play style, or do you think they just need to be more committed to it?
I think the answer is kind of both in a way, because I've noticed that they play through on their plays and they go for it hardcore, but sometimes they can kind of get a bit separated from their plan and go down a different route than another player thought, which is why we had that incident that happened above the goal earlier. But I think having another new strategy against Hawkeye might be a good idea, because it seems like Hawkeye has figured out how John Wood works. So it might be a good idea to try and rethink their strategy.
I completely agree. The adaptability of Hawkeye does seem to be a little bit more showing here than John Wood. That's why I asked you, got your idea. I think for me, I want to see them push harder, less new style. I think the new style is going to cause them to be tripping up a lot more over themselves. I think if they dedicate to what they know, that we could see a lot more finishes and opportunities that are not necessarily going by the wayside. Jumping into Game 6 here, 3-2 lead for Hawkeye Community College. They've put in some excellent games so far, and John Wood doing what they can to take another long series here. You know, we talked about it, Hawkeye swept their first 2 opponents 4-0, and then John Wood, on the other hand, had a 6-game series into a 7-game series. Players are very different on their stamina right now. You know, John Wood players a little bit tired, but still just full speed.
You know, I think that's a good point, because I remember when GHC played Hawkeye, if I'm remembering right, they progressively got more aggressive and more goals against us and pushed us harder the further on the matches we got. Because at first, I'm pretty sure GHC was leading, and then it's like what this game is right now. John Wood had a point and stuff, and Hawkeye's just pushing them right back and eventually taking the lead and overcoming them.
And so there, I think what, how do I want to describe that? We're seeing what we said like 3 games ago about taking those long shots against John Wood. I definitely just saw one there from Hawkeye. And they might have, you know, realized that too, that, you know, if John Wood does get on our half, if we take a long shot, then there's a good chance nobody's going to be down there. Good bump from Lucy.
Yeah, I'm starting to see Hawkeye.
Sorry,
I'm starting to see Hawkeye stay more on the ground this game than they previously were, because John Wood had the ball up in the air a lot so far, and I've seen Cole and Colin and Antique just staying on the ground below the ball, so when it comes down, they have the opportunity to hit it.
Oh, that's a pinch shot, going to be just a little bit wide. John Wood going to be very happy that didn't go in. Antique's going to get a nice clear into the opposite side. That's something else we've been seeing from John Wood that I would really like to see them stop doing, is having all 3 players on the same half of the field. They need to have at least one person on the opposite end, so that if, you know, Hawkeye does get that clear out there, they've got somebody who's relatively close to it. And you don't need 3 people on the same side of the field anyway.
And a good strategy to have is, even if that 3rd player is hanging back, they can be more towards, so if you have your half of the field, they can be more towards the middle of your half, so they're not completely in the goal and practically useless to any other play, but they can also go up and catch balls and be able to still be a good part of the teamwork and making goals.
I think you brought up the very good point for maybe what I've been trying to like say. That I think John Wood's defensive positioning, like, I don't think the reaction time needs work, but the positioning, and in the way you said that actually made me like connect that dot. Is defensive positioning super important, and making sure you're not way back when you don't need to be way back and way forward when you don't need to be way forward. Very dead scoreline in comparison to our other games that we've seen here between these 2 teams. 0-0 with only a minute left to go, less than a minute. Ooh, awkward bump there. Not going to be what Antique was looking for. Cole's going to try to do his best to salvage. He's going to pass it over to Colin. Colin's going to get a nice clear. Curry going in for the demo is not able to find it.
I think we're seeing a lot of adaptation from both sides, because both John Wood and Hawkeye haven't made a goal yet, and it's been a whole game. There's 10 seconds left in the game, so pretty sure we're going to... Never mind, we're not going to see overtime. Unless they can make a goal, which is completely possible.
And that was a very good play once again from Hudson, or not Hudson Valley, from Hawkeye once again to pressure John Wood into reacting, and then once they've reacted, then actually going for the goal. And that seems to be a pretty good strategy. We're going to see if John Wood can answer back here. They have to, or else this series does go to Hawkeye, and John Wood is eliminated. Turbo's going to try to catch it in the air. Lucy's going to have it. He's going to push it over to the side, bounce it off the wall. Cole's going to take it, and that is going to touch the ground. Unfortunately, unfortunately for us, Hawkeye is going to take it. Congratulations to Hawkeye, though, on an absolutely excellent series. They played out of their minds. Compared to what we've seen and how we've played against them in the past, tons of improvement on their side, and watching the chemistry between Colin and Cole there was fun to watch. They're very good team players.
Yeah, and this was a really good round, both for both teams actually, because you saw the whole game up until the last 10 seconds. They were all playing pretty aggressively, then defensively, air game, ground game, demolitions. It was just everywhere this whole game. And then the last 10 seconds, Hawkeye clutched the game and won.
Alex, sound?
You're muted.
I am. There we go. Now I'm not muted. Sorry about that, guys. I keep forgetting I mute in between series when I'm not casting. So as I was saying, though, me and Bidpost, we were both in a Discord call. We're over here rooting for the Game 7, and then Hawkeye ruins it at the last moment, getting that last goal. But what a play, though. Overall, though, they played really well. Looking forward, they get Lincoln Land Community College in the finals. Lincoln Land has swept everybody coming forward, so they definitely have their work cut out.
Lincoln Land is just one of those teams that is a step above like the rest of the league, and it's so fun watching them play because I get to learn so much about what I need to be telling my team to look out for, and I'm excited to be able to watch it. I'm very excited.
It's going to be an interesting matchup, but before we get there, we are going to bring in one of the members from the Hawkeye squad, and we are going to be bringing in Colin. So, Colin, are you there?
Yep.
All right. Can you bring your mic up just a little bit closer? It sounded like you were coming across a little quiet there. I think that's a little bit better. Can you guys hear him? Not
Nope.
quite.
No, I'm having a little bit of issues.
Yeah, it's very quiet. I don't know if we'll be able to turn him. All right. Go ahead, try again, Colin.
Hello?
There we go. Now we can hear you. All right. So, you guys had a phenomenal series, hard-fought series. I mean, those games were all extremely close, and pulling it out in the end of Game 6 with only seconds to go. Abby, do you have any questions for Colin?
So how do you guys normally play when you're practicing? Because you guys have a really good team dynamic, and if there's any pointers you would give.
So Cole and I are actually twin brothers, so ever since Rocket League came out on like PlayStation Plus, we were playing with each other. So I think in a sense we have like a good connection just of like kind of knowing what each other are doing. But any tip is honestly, you just got to be fast in the ball. It doesn't matter how your touch is. If it's going to a wall or something, or if you can control it and take other players out of the game, it really does help. And even if you out of the play, if you beat one or two people, you're gonna have a really good chance of scoring because it makes that last man really awkward.
So, just from observation, is Cole your brother?
Yeah, he's my twin brother. Yeah.
So, how is it playing with your brother on the squad? Is there a little bit of sibling rivalry there, or do you guys work really well cohesively? Because it looked like you guys work really well as a team, but how is it playing with them?
There's not really a rivalry. It's if someone needs to say something, it's always like more harsh than others because obviously growing up, like brothers and sisters end up like fighting each other or like yelling at each other. So it's very just hard feedback. There's no like sugarcoating and stuff like that. Or if like in the middle of the game he'll miss a ball, like I'll get a little bit upset, but it's whatever. But yeah, it does help playing with them all the time. I mean, it's usually the same if we play with other people, but it seems like we're always on the same page.
So Hoodie, do you have any questions for Colin before we head on out?
So Colin, I think we've played each other quite a few times, and you were part of the fall tournament as well. What were your thoughts as far as how you guys feel as a team for this tournament compared to last tournament?
I think it's a lot of like touching up on things. At the beginning of the season, even in like other tournaments that we were in, it seemed like we weren't really a constructive team. It's more of like me or my brother, or this is always like solo plays. We always tend to have a lot of solo plays, and I think we've been getting more of a team aspect and learning where each other are at, and like really just tightening up like the defensive rotations and stuff like that. Because I remember playing you guys, because I don't remember what happened. I think we got 4-0 against you guys the first time, so a lot of closer shades that time. 4-2.
I'm pretty sure it was 4-2.
Okay, I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot closer to that time.
I was a very big fan of the series, so congratulations.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it looked like it was a blast to play, but we're going to let you go, Colin, so you can go get ready for the finals matchup against Lincoln Land. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, you guys can put on a great show for us.
All right, thank you.
All right, so thank you, Hoodie, for joining us here in the booth. Unfortunately, your guys over at John Wood could not pull it out, but they looked very good, and you guys have a lot to look forward to for the season.
Yeah, they're an excellent team, and I mean, everybody takes losses, and if we're going to take a loss against a team that's looking that good, nothing we can be mad about.